Go. The music started.
Let's go.
My notes are up.
Let's go.
And I can't find you. There you are.
Fun stuff.
That's it. Alrighty, hello and welcome. This is BP Productions Podcast, where we share life, share stories, and encourage others. I'm your host, Bruce Isaac Pineda, and I am super excited because this is episode number 6 of 7 of BP Productions Podcast. It's been a journey, these last few podcasts, and I'm so excited to just be reaching that goal of 7. It's been a long time coming, but I appreciate you guys' support, and I appreciate just all y'all that have joined in and have been a real encouragement to me. Before I introduce my guest, I'm going to run through some announcements real quick. This will only be found on youtube.com at BP Productions Podcast. The reason being is because I want to grow that channel as much as I can. Once I do that, maybe I'll venture out into different podcast platforms where I can share more and just grow that more. But for right now, youtube.com is where I want to be, and that's where we're going to be. But without further ado, I have my special guest, Breanna Pettingill. Hello.
Whoop, whoop. Hello.
Hi, Breanna.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Breanna, I'm going to give them a little introduction of you. So we can kind of know who we're talking to. And bear with me because I wrote this out and I want to get everything right, but we're going to try it out. You ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I got Breanna Pettingill here, guys. Share her occupation. So right now, she is the GM at Hebrews Coffee. Her education, she's a recent Texas Tech University graduate with dual bachelors in business, administration and counseling, and addiction recovery with a concentration in applied relational counseling. She is currently going to attend marriage school and counseling, and that's where we're at, correct?
Yep, that is exactly where we're at. I know it's a long description. Every time I write it out, I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, that's cool. No, that's awesome. So Texas Tech, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, before we jump into there, too, I just wanted to I'll give one more thing. Just so I like to start this off. But Breanna, can you just tell us your age? We already went over occupation, but age, occupation, and relationship status.
Yeah. I am 23. Sorry about my dog in the background. It's loud inside my house. I'm 23.
Okay,
Occupation, I just graduated and I'm going and turning right around and going back to graduate school. So I guess I'm still a student.
There you go.
But
yeah,
I was working at Hebrews Coffee as the general manager because of my business degree. I'd like to open up my own small business one day. And my name, age, and occupation, right?
Name, age, occupation, relationship status.
Relationship status is single as a Pringle.
Single as a Pringle. I like it. Same here. Alrighty. Yeah. So Breanna, so let's just dive straight into education. First off, graduation. So I always like to say, for me, after high school, through high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I absolutely did not have a clue. I wanted to be in the NFL. That was my dream. But that didn't pan out too well, right? So anyways, for you, Breanna, what after high school, did you know what you wanted to do? Did you know what did you already have that direction, or how was that for you?
I was as far from God as you could possibly be and had zero identity. It was a lot in the world, rooted in the world. And so I literally jumped all over. I had no clue. I honestly started college and thought I was I was looking for whatever job could make me the most money, and I wasn't really looking for purpose. It was just what job can find me the most money. And even when I started college, I jumped all over before I finally found out kind of how to feel for what I was going to be led into. But it took a minute. It really did, which was crazy to me because, like, in high school, they ask you what you're going to do in college. Like, they put you on a degree track your freshman year, which makes zero sense to me because, like, you don't know that young, you know? But, yeah, so in high school, I did not know.
No. So what was there like a turning point? I mean, obviously you said you found Jesus, started walking with him, but what was it that said, "Hey, I want to take this pursuit in counseling"? Like what was the switch?
Yeah.
Was there somebody or something or situation that happened?
Yeah, I was in energy commerce at the time. It was my junior year of college, and yeah, I was in counseling. I mean, I was in energy commerce, which is basically like, it was probably the best paying job that I could find in the business school, and it was a lot of, and honestly, I had like an internship where I was going to be making a lot of money, and they started giving me scholarships and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I didn't feel any purpose in it. It was kind of, I don't know. It was literally just for the money. There were people in that major that genuinely loved oil. Like, yeah, oil. But I didn't have that passion for oil. It was more just, oh, this is going to make me good money. And I eventually found out very quickly that, first of all, money wasn't fulfilling, and I found myself still really discontent even though I found that job. You know, I found that placement where I was going to be making a lot of money, and I still found myself like really unfulfilled. And I was saved my freshman year of college. Like, I professed my faith, but it was like a lot of learning and surrendering for me, and it wasn't until junior year where I met myself at that really unfulfilled spot. And I realized I wasn't trusting God with everything. It was kind of just like what I wanted him, like what I wanted to trust him with. And so I would read the Bible. It really didn't make sense to me. And I remember one day, like, every time I would go to the Bible, which was like once every now and then, at the time, I would read about fasting, and I thought that was really interesting because fasting was such an old concept, and now it's only used for like fitness and stuff like that. It was so interesting to me that Jesus commands us to fast, and that he's like, it's a discipline of your faith. And I was at such a low point. Like, I was in a relationship, and it wasn't going well, and I was like, okay, whatever, like, maybe this will work. Maybe this will help me, really, like, have that relationship that I was desiring, or maybe this will bring me the fulfillment that I was desiring. I just knew something was wrong. So I was like, I'm going to spend a day fasting. And I did, and I prayed, and I spent that day. And anyways, after that, I really witnessed the power of God. And I really surrendered my life after that. And I realized, like, I really wanted to be on this earth to help people and
for sure,
spread the gospel. And really, so I knew after that, I was like, I want to do something in human sciences. And so I was already almost done with my business degrees, so I switched over to human sciences. Originally, I just got my foot in the door in the human sciences building in interior design, which is weird to think about, that interior design is a human sciences. But so then I stepped into counseling, and I think what led me to counseling was, I guess, just so specifically in at Tech, it's counseling and addiction recovery sciences. It's not just counseling. And after that moment that day I spent with God, I was freed from addiction. I had a lot of addictions. I was smoking heavily and doing drugs and all of that stuff. And I knew after that I wanted to help people like get to that point where they were free, because I struggled with it for a really long time and
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, so I was like, I want to help people who are also in addiction, who are also,
Yeah, for sure.
and a lot of addiction counseling and all of that is centered around like a lot of places it's centered around like a higher power. It used to be just simply Jesus, but now it's more inclusive to other gods. But
no, I get you.
But yeah, so that was kind of a long answer, but
yeah, no, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think I kind of went through the same journey. Just trying to figure out what I want to do. I mean, up to this day, I think it's not necessarily I'm picking and choosing, but I'm really just trusting God and walking day by day, figuring out what's the best path or what's the best decision today. And that kind of brings me back, Breanna. What would you say to kids? And I say kids, we're still young ourselves, but young people that are still in those same shoes that you were, finishing up high school, really not knowing what you wanted to do, or chasing money, chasing the best job that they can find for money. I mean, what's your word of advice for them?
Yeah, man, I think I would just have to say to a high schooler, really, even if you have to,
I know it's a loaded question.
Yeah. Even if you have to take a year off, like really find your identity first. Like, there's so much I did wrong in high school. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to simplify it. But yeah, I think really just find your identity first. Because without that, like, it's going to be all twisted and you're going to jump around. And then once you find something, stick with it. Like, you're going to change. Like, even like after you do find that career, in the future, like, it's gonna switch. I mean, I hear all the time that people, they thought they were gonna do this and they ended up somewhere totally different, even when they had their mind made up. And so just don't be afraid to make that switch. Don't be afraid to make that change. There we go. That's something I would say is,
I love that.
Don't be afraid
to
make that change, and make that move or jump in career or anything like that.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. I like to ask that question because, when I was finished up high school or, just growing up, people would tell me, they would ask me, what do I want to do after high school? What am I going to do? What is this, that? It was never like word of advice. No one ever told me like, hey, even though you know what you want to do, or even if I did know what I want to do, like I never got that advice to know that even if I don't know, it's gonna be good and it'll get figured out. So I love that. Breanna, Texas Tech University, that's amazing. Patrick Mahomes, you know who that is?
I love how that's what it's associated with now. I love that guy.
Patrick Mahomes,
he really
right?
put us on the map.
Kansas City. Oh, for sure. Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah.
Anyways, beside Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech, is that considered a party school? I never went to college. Is that considered a party school? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then that's gonna segue us into faith right now. So before I go there, Breanna, another loaded question, and just again be ready for these. It's gonna be all right. But I think we kind of went over it a little bit. But why is Jesus so important in your life?
think because Jesus gives you purpose, really, he's so important in my life because I found myself in a spot where I don't know, he's just saved me so many times. He is the way, the truth, the life. But I've seen the power of God. I've seen how real Jesus is. And I think I really struggle with, quote, religion, because it's so much more than that to me. He literally saved my soul from and purified me. Like with him, he washes away the sin, he breaks the chains, and there's power in the name of Jesus to shake you from anything. You know, there's power in prayer, and with him, like,
I love that.
Like, even like tying back to the don't be afraid to make a change, like with God, it's okay when you have to make those changes because you know, like, it's a part of his plan. Of course, if you're living in his will, but it's so important. And I mean, there's a lot of things that religion is good about because, like, when you're going down the wrong path, I mean, when we're growing up, like, even with our parents, it's really hard because we're like, oh, like, our parents are so annoying, and why are they telling me to do these things? And then we realize, like, later, oh, they were trying to help me, and they were trying to protect me from this. And it's the same thing with our Father. He doesn't give rules to like punish us. It's to protect us, and he knows what's good for us. So
no, for sure, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Brianna, was there like a turning point? I mean, of course there's a turning point, but like let me just zip back a little bit. So for me, I grew up in a Christian household, but we'd go to church every Sunday. It was a routine thing, but it didn't become real to me to a certain point. And I can recall that point where after hanging out with some friends, it was like in back of my grandma's yard. We were finishing playing basketball. Everybody had left. I had a good time with my friends and all that, but I felt so empty that night for some reason. So empty, so heavy on my heart. I can't recall my age, but I don't know what it brought me down to my knees. It brought me down, to my knees, and I just sat on my basketball and I looked up and I just started praying to God and actually giving my life to Christ, actually repenting of my sins and believing it for me, not just because my parents took me to church, not just because I know this knowledge, but it became real to me. So what was that for you?
That's amazing. That's beautiful. I didn't grow up in a Christian household, but it was my freshman year. I had a big party group. I mean, back to the Texas Tech being a party group, big party school.
For sure.
It was actually somebody in my party group who invited me to church, and I don't think I had been since like 5th grade when I had a friend who would take me. And then also there was this guy that the Lord had planted in my life too, who started questioning me about my faith, like, what do you believe in? And little seeds, just planting little seeds. But yeah, I went, and the pastor was talking about purity and how through Jesus we can be pure again. I'm sorry. But
that's okay. No, you're good.
Yeah, that was a big turning point for me. I remember praying that day, like, I can be pure again. Like, I can hang around Christians. I never felt like I could fit in with them because there was so much, like, from my past and where I came from. And I was like, I could never, hang out here. But with the pastor literally standing on stage and being like, no, like, I came from an alcoholic, like, family, and I've been there. Like, I grew up in that kind of family, and him literally testifying about that on stage. And he's like, no, but through Jesus I was purified and redeemed. And that was so powerful to me. And I remember that night I said the name of it. I said the prayer where
Okay.
I asked Jesus to save me, and I repented for my sins. And I think from there was so much that changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole. Yeah, everything just opens up.
Yeah.
I mean, good and bad, because the devil will try to get you a lot.
Yeah.
For sure. So, back to I mean, the party school. We start calling it the party school, right?
Yeah.
So first off, when did this conversion happen? I mean, when did you? How long ago was this?
That was my
that you turned yourself, to Jesus.
Yeah, that was my freshman year, second semester. So, first semester went crazy, did all the things, and then second semester I kind of chilled out a little bit, and I noticed like,
gotcha,
this isn't going anywhere, and then yeah,
for sure. No, I get you. So then that leads me to my next thing is that you go into that party school. There's so much temptation, so much temptation in the world, anywhere, social media. I could imagine college and a university at that magnitude. Texas Tech University, right? I mean, how in the world? I mean, obviously, I know how, through Jesus, but how hard is it, and how did you not fall into that, and into that culture of drinking, of partying with alcohol, hooking up with anybody that you find attracted to? I mean, how did you avoid that, overcome that? I mean, how did that go?
I fell into it multiple times. It was probably my junior year. It was really hard. It's really, really hard because that's what everybody is doing. So, yeah, I fell multiple times. But I think one of the hardest changes I had to make was changing my friend group. Because that's honestly where it stemmed from.
For sure.
And I'm not dissing like those people and all that. Not dissing anybody, but because they were really loving as far as they knew how to be. It's different now, but yeah, it was really hard. And I think changing my friend group and not hanging out with them as much because they were all drinking and partying, and kind of I was walking myself into temptation. I think temptation's still going to come when you have the right people around you, but it's way harder when it's right in front of your face every single day. So, yeah, that's when it really became a lot easier, is when I switched my friend group, which I spent a lot of time alone after that. But,
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they say that quote, you become who you hang out with, right? You that's super important. And I think, so when I moved from Texas to Washington State, I had absolutely zero friends.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I moved to a different high school and everything. But yeah, I mean, when I sought out Jesus, I became very, I don't want to use the word lonesome, but I didn't find myself hanging out with anybody I could find. I kind of pick and chose what I was going to let in my life and who I was going to let in my life. Obviously, you falter at that sometimes, but, I try my best to, because I just wanted to protect my heart and wanted to be. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it's hard to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard, you do have to guard your heart.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, Brianna, our last thing on talking about faith and Jesus, like in your family, you said you didn't necessarily come from a Christian home, but I feel like for me, just to give reference, I always had somebody. The church that we went to in Washington, I was in this discipleship group, and these two guys, I'm gonna shout them out because I love them so much. Neil and Mitch is their names, and a whole bunch of others, Brent and Mark, and just a whole Kurt. Sorry, I have a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But anyways, these men, are men that I looked up to. They're men that I knew that they loved God, they loved people, and they not only did that with their voice, but they showed it day in and day out, and they were real. And those guys became my inspiration to know that um, I can do this. I can walk in this with Christ, and I can become a man of God just like that.
Yeah.
And so, who was there anybody like that for you?
Oh yeah. There was this one girl in specific, Natalie Paxton. She's a missionary in Africa now. But
Wow.
yeah, she was one person that she was a huge inspiration for me, and we'd meet for coffee all the time, and we hung out at each other's houses and stuff. But she was never judgmental, and she loved Jesus so much. And she would ask me questions about life and everything like that, but we would just catch up, and she just felt like a friend, Didn't feel like she felt better than me or anything like that. It was just, yeah. And she really, really, really led me closer to God.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I can't. There was of course other people along the way, but she was a really big, like, really big one.
Yeah, like just an anchor.
Yes.
Can I say anchor? I can say
Yeah.
anchor. There you go. I love that. Awesome. You mentioned missionary. Have you ever been on a mission trip?
Yeah, I just went to Guatemala. It was my first mission trip.
That's right.
Yes.
I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah, that was my first mission trip.
Wow. Talk about that.
Yeah, so actually it's so crazy that you asked, because that's one of the things that I've felt called to for a while. I first felt my call to missions. Like, I was ready to leave this country 2 years ago and go to Mazatlan, Mexico, because I was asked to go on a mission trip there. But it just didn't work out. Wasn't God's timing. And then I finally got to go this summer to Guatemala, and it was the work. Like, it was an orphanage. It's an orphanage in Guatemala called New Life Children's Home, and they have paintings of Jesus everywhere. And there's it was just the best place ever. And so we got to, what we did on the mission trip was go paint we got to paint a building, and another group trimmed hedges and did stuff like that. But they asked me to come back, and so that's another thing I might do while I'm waiting to go to grad school, is go be an intern over there. But it's just really cool getting out of our fast-paced world and going over to Guatemala, where it's just like everything slows down a bit, and the Spirit of God was so tangible. Like, I don't know,
that's awesome.
You're just moving at God's speed, like, at this pace that's so good, and the people were all so great, and the kids were so sweet.
I bet.
But it's really good to get out of your world.
Yeah, and see it from a whole different perspective, literally.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the culture over there, just jumping into culture, I mean, you mentioned that totally, is different from the United States. I feel like the United States, we're chasing our tails, and it's the rat race for, becoming rich and famous. And I mean, was it like a totally different culture over there?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's slower. Of course, I think it's a little bit like this in Mexico too, but there's a thing called, and you probably know it, but time orientation. So in different cultures, every culture has their own time orientation. So America is a very fast-paced time orientation. We're always on time, 10 minutes early. We're trained like that from when we're little. I mean, my mom was like, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late.
Yeah, that's fun. Sorry, you say that. Yeah, my mom, 100%. Yeah, same thing. She says if you're already on time, you're already late.
Yeah,
Like, dang.
I know. Yeah, so, but then when you go to Mexico, I mean, even like you meet people from Mexico and they're always late. I mean, and it's just, you can't judge them. It's nothing wrong with them, but it's just, and Mexico, but then even more so Guatemala, everybody just runs late. Like, if we went to church and it was so different because they're like, oh yeah, well, church starts at 10, but that actually means 10:30.
Really?
So it's just a really, really slow time orientation.
Yeah. I could imagine that. Yeah, I've never been outside the United States. I had a chance to go to Canada if I really wanted to when I was living in Washington, right? It was only 3 hours away.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I could have gone up there, but Washington's just, I don't know if you've ever been to Washington State. You ever been up there?
It rains a lot.
Okay, well, beautiful. Right? It rains a lot. Beautiful state.
Yeah.
Beautiful cities. So I really didn't necessarily need to leave because I kind of had everything around me that I wanted to see, right? But wanted to go to Canada and the Canadian bacon and the way people talk. I wanted to experience that. So
yeah. Did you go?
No, I didn't go.
Oh, okay.
I didn't go to Canada, but I wanted to.
Yeah.
But now I live in San Antonio.
You need to go out of the country. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my next. Well, I would love to go to Italy for the food.
Okay. We love Italian food.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. If you could choose anywhere, where would you go?
I really want to go anywhere though. I want to go to the Great Barrier. Well, no. Australia. There's so many places.
Yeah.
I really want to go to South America.
Okay.
And see like the Amazon forest.
Yeah.
Or I almost went to Peru to see the national wonder. What's it called?
Oh.
Yeah.
You like wildlife?
Yeah, I like nature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of tell. You mentioned the Amazon rainforest and you mentioned Australia.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, that's like you got all the animals over there, all the poisonous snakes and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy because no, I'll hold that. But yeah, Australia would be.
What?
There's this thing where like Australia catches on fire every like 10 years. Because, but it's like nature's way of getting rid of, I think, of the certain kind of snake gets overpopulated.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. Have you heard of that Snake Island? I'm not sure where it's at, but
nope.
I watch a lot of documentaries on YouTube. But yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm not sure where it's at. I could probably drop it here after, during the video. But it's like it's this island that is just covered with all sorts of species of snakes, and that's all it is snakes. And the government has actually blocked it off so that no one can get on the island except for scientists that go over there for research. But other than that, like the island is completely blocked off.
That's crazy.
I don't know if you ever heard of that, but yeah, I would not even go near there at all, just because the snakes are not my forte at all.
No, me neither.
No, for sure. Yeah. For sure. All right. Next thing. First off, Breanna, I popped in my mind. I'm just kind of saying what's on my mind right now. But your dog, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a pit bull and then a pit bull husky. They're both rescues. I have a really big heart for rescues.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to switch it. Bella, come here. Oh gosh, that was so cute.
Yeah.
Wish I could flip it.
Let's shout out your dog.
Her name is Bella. I don't know how to flip it. So Bella.
Okay, it's okay. Hi, Bella. Oh, that's sweet.
And then Rose is out there. She's a pit bull. But she is laying down in the dirt.
Yeah, sweet. I like that. There you go. All right. Breanna, let's jump into relationships, dating in 2023. I feel like, my audience knows where I'm at, but it's hard to date in 2023. It's hard to find somebody, especially as a Christian. At least for me, as a Christian man, I can say that it has been difficult to find a woman with godly values or things that I value. And I have a lot of, I'm going to say, high standards. That are, I guess you could say, considered high standards. and it's just it's super difficult. Oh, there you go. You're back on. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, it's super difficult, I think, to find a godly woman to put in short terms. Am I wrong for saying that? And do you believe that's true?
Oh yeah, just because there's a lot of people that claim Christian religion, but it's really hard to find real. Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah. Have you found that in your? I mean, from a woman's perspective, is that true? Is it hard to find a godly man that actually lives the life of following Christ?
Yeah. Thankfully, I found a community here in Lubbock where it's just a huge mesh of people that love Jesus. I think it's easier once you're in community, but I think really it's not finding the Christian the person that's hardest, but waiting is hardest.
Yeah.
Waiting for that person that God has for you to come along. I feel like waiting is hard, and
yeah,
it's just because there's gonna be lots of people out there, but waiting for that person that's for you is difficult.
Yeah.
There's actually this you mentioned high standards, and there's this girl named Maddie Pruitt, and she's from Dallas, but she was on The Bachelor like probably 5 years ago now. And she's a Jesus loving person, God fearing, but she just had this really bad experience on The Bachelor. But now she writes like books, and she just got married. But
really,
yeah, she's about to release this book, and it's high standards versus, I can't remember I'm really being a book plug right now. I'm plugging her, but
no, you're good.
It was interesting because, and I might read it because it's all about like having high standards versus having like perfect standards, like how not to be graceful while having high standards, which is something I do struggle with because we want things to be a certain way. We have like our journal where we write out like this is what we want in the future person, but then also accepting that like we're still young and the person isn't going to be perfect in that. So how to be graceful in that. And then I think the hardest part is waiting for that person to come along.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. So when you were talking, I was kind of thinking, because I want to get your perspective, because I've on my podcast I've only ever had they've all been guys, and I always ask them about dating and women and things like that. But from a woman's perspective, I want to hear like, and you being a Christian woman yourself, I'm trying to think of a way to word this question. How should a man let's see a man sees a woman, he finds her attractive, she's beautiful. How does a man pursue that woman, or even have the confidence to go up there and talk to her? Like, what is a woman expecting, like, to get a yes to a first date? There you go, boom. That's kind of like where I'm going with that.
I think be a friend, not I think just be a friend. It's always kind of awkward, like those first, like, ooh, she's so pretty.
Yeah.
Hey, shawty, can I get your number? But yeah, I think. Oh my gosh, there's so many mosquitoes. Very
good.
I think, be a friend to her, and first, if you want to make that first move, be cool and just be yourself. Have confidence and know that whatever she says doesn't really define your worth or who you are. But yeah, just be cool, be respectful. Don't
there you go.
Even if she is pretty, I think you can say like, "Oh, you're so pretty, you're so gorgeous," but not like, don't stare at her. Don't be weird.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like that.
Don't
there
be
you go.
weird.
I'm gonna snip that out. Don't stare at her. Don't be weird.
Yeah.
I love that.
Literally.
That's cool. Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah. I think that's a struggle nowadays. I mean, I'm just thinking from a guy's perspective. It's a struggle pursuing women. Because in the dating pool, you have that notion of, oh yeah, we're gonna get into this. All right, you have that notion of girls falling for the wrong guy or falling for the bad boy. Is that notion true?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
because usually you want what you can't have or what doesn't want you.
Yeah. So why does that exist?
I feel like just because insecurities maybe probably exists, because I don't know, because oh my gosh, you know what I just thought of though? I read this one time, I don't know if it's true, but you see yourself in the mirror 90% prettier or more handsome than you actually are. So
yeah,
I don't think that's true though, but anyways,
got it.
Going to say like a lot of times we shoot very high, of course, which is good, but then also you don't want to, like, what if we're missing the person, but we shouldn't be looking in the first place. Like, we shouldn't, like, every time we meet someone be like, ooh, like falling in love with everybody that we meet. But
yeah,
definitely considering them, like, if they would be good. But I think, like, not diving too headfirst into something right away.
Okay.
I think I forgot your question.
Okay, it's okay. I said, what is why does that notion exist, that the good girl, or good girl falling for the bad guy?
Yeah, and girls, I just see a lot, like, girls want the bad boy, they want the cool guy, or just wanting, I think just wanting what you can't have. So
what's the advice to the nice guy?
To the nice guy?
Yeah.
Just know the bad boy's gonna break her heart, and she'll come running for you.
Dang, there you go. You heard it here first. BP Productions.
I don't think that's godly advice, but hey.
There you go. Hey, it's all right. All right, Breanna. So we're closing to the end here, but I'm gonna end. Well, we have two more things to get to, but the first thing, loaded question here. Think of it as best you can, but life advice. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
I'd have to say that is a loaded question.
I can go first if you like.
Yeah, go.
All right, yeah. So the one thing that always pops to my head is by Mitch Kellogg. That's one of the guys that I looked up to for the longest time, and I still do to this day. But he told me, well, he didn't even really tell me. He told me that one of his goals in life was to be a lifelong learner, and that always stuck with me. Lifelong learner, to never stop learning, to never stop growing, and to not get so cocky, but to be humble and to keep on, like this whole podcast thing. Like, I've gotten on a roll with this, and it's great, and it's fantastic. But the thing is, I want to be a lifelong learner. I want to keep on learning. I want to keep on growing. I don't want to be at this point where, oh, look, I did this and I'm at the top and I'm stopping because I'm satisfied. So that lifelong learner, keeps you humble and it keeps you moving. So that's my best piece of advice that I think I've ever been given.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's just, and something I've been learning too, is to just something that's been on my heart recently is first that the righteous inherit the earth. And when I think of inheriting something, I think it's something that builds and comes. And so kind of going off of that lifelong learner, success and just things don't, when they're good, they don't come fast. Like, it's going to be something that's built over your lifetime. And so we're going to inherit the earth, like when things, and then things take time, basically. Things take time. And then also, just like being lowly, like not being thinking of yourself too highly, like and always being open to changes and new beginnings and
Yeah, I love that. When you said that, it brought to my mind what is that verse in the Bible? God exalts the humble and humbles the proud.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. So
That's
I think that kind of that's it right there. That's probably the best advice. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, Brianna. That's great. So we are on to our last segment, and this is actually my favorite segment. It's called the hot seat questions.
Ooh.
Have you ever heard of that before?
Yeah.
The hot seat questions. So basically, I'm going to ask you a list of questions. They can be yes or no answers. They can be this or that answers. And or if you want to elaborate on these answers, you're more than welcome to. But I'm going to ask them. And yeah, I mean, just think about it for a second, but don't give too much thought because we want your kind of want your first thought on everything. So.
Just like first thought.
But all right.
Fine.
Yeah, you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. Let's see here. I got notes galore on here. You know what's weird too? Just to kind of go off topic. I was not a note taker in school at all.
Look at you now.
I know. Look at me now. But like when it's something I'm into, like I don't know. I can write notes for days on this stuff.
You're like watching Patrick Mahomes and you're like taking notes.
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So is his name like spoke about? Like, is he like? Is there like posters and statues and all that?
Yeah, dude. They created a whole Netflix series about him coming to Texas Tech. I feel like he put Texas Tech on the map because Texas Tech is not that great of a school. Like, we're very mid.
Yeah. And does he comes to the games a lot, right? He comes to visit.
Probably like once a year. It happened once last year.
Oh, for real? Yeah. Okay. All right. Hot seat questions. Ready?
Yep.
All right. We talked about this earlier, but all right, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Hot seat questions.
Okay.
Go. Do you drink coffee?
Yes.
Have you ever stolen something?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Oh yeah.
Is America the greatest country?
America. Questionably, yes.
Do you battle mental health?
Yes. Depression.
Is there such thing as racism?
Yes.
Can anyone be forgiven?
Yes.
Does forgiveness heal?
Yes.
Hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hot dogs.
Cocoa Pebbles or Cocoa Puffs?
Neither. Hot take.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Brownies. Chocolate brownie.
Chocolate brownie. Do you have a favorite sibling?
I have 0.
You have 0. Do you have a favorite dog?
Don't tell her. But Rosa.
Which one?
Rosa, the one that's like
Rosa?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Rosa and the other one's Bella, right?
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Last question. Did you have fun?
Oh yeah. This was fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. You get used to it, right? It's a simple conversation, but yeah, I really enjoy these. I love my goal for this podcast is to give people a platform to speak about their opinions, their minds, and that's really my goal. Share life, share stories, encourage others.
Awesome.
But Breanna, I thank you for being on here. I wanted to put you on here because although we haven't spoken, and I probably should have said this in the way beginning, but we probably really haven't seen each other since like middle school, or freshman year. I saw your page, and from what I see, a Christian, and love God, love people, and not only do you show it by voice, but you show it in your action. So I appreciate that, and so Breanna, just thank you for coming on here.
Thanks, Bruce. It was so cool to see that you had taken the same path too, and honestly, it's really cool, and it's really cool getting to talk to you and see like how things have changed. So cool stuff, and you're doing great things. So it is my honor to be able to talk to you today, because this is super cool what you're doing.
Amazing. All right, last thing, you want to do any shout outs, any plugs that you want to do, Breanna?
Shout out to the Way College Ministry.
All right.
And to Johnny in El Paso.
Johnny. All right, let's go, Johnny. All right, Breanna. Well, everybody, this has been BP Productions Podcast, where we share life, share stories, and encourage others. I appreciate you for watching. This is episode 6, number 7, coming soon. But thank you, Breanna, and we'll talk to you later. All right,
bye Bruce.
Breanna.